Building right now. We're joined by Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton. He's a member of the Senate Select Committee on Intel and the Senate Armed Services Committee. Good morning to you, Senator.
Hey guys, good morning. Good to be on with you.
Okay, we've heard Nancy Pelosi talk about how prayerful she is about the proceedings, and yet yesterday we saw members of her caucus giggling and laughing, and she was handing out commemorative pens with her name on them.
Yeah, it was a very solemn and prayerful moment, guys, when you saw those gold-encrusted commemorative pins that Nancy Pelosi had specially made. We thought that she may have some grand strategy for delaying the impeachment trial for 28 days. Maybe she was just waiting for her special order pins to come in from the factory.
That's true.
But we can laugh at that, but I think it speaks to the bigger point about just how partisan the House has acted over the last 4 months in pursuing the president for at least the third, maybe the fourth time, depending on how you define it, to impeach him, which started on the very first day he was sworn into office. And ultimately, no matter what the allegations are, they're impeaching the president for the same unforgivable sin, beating Hillary Clinton in 2016.
And by the way, it is historic already because it's totally partisan. Not one Republican went for this, unlike Nixon, unlike Clinton, and I believe the Andrew Johnson, which had no footage is available right now. We're trying to look for it. But Senator, in the big picture, they say we're waiting, and there's a Washington Post story that talked about additional information, and we're waiting because this Lev Parnas is now speaking about how he was in the middle of all this wrangling. From what you've read, from what you know, does Lev Parnas' interview with Rachel Maddow last night or the paperwork that was released over the weekend change anything?
Hardly, Brian. So Lev Parnas is currently under an indictment. This is a guy whose business was literally called Fraud, Inc. And now he goes from being the president's greatest champion to being on Rachel Maddow's show. But we shouldn't be surprised that the Democrats in the House are pulling this kind of stunt. In fact, I would predict that Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff throughout the Senate trial will continue to leak oftentimes fabricated information, which I believe is what some of Lev Parnas put out over the weekend, all in an effort to clean up the shoddy work they did in the House, the rushed partisan hatchet job of this impeachment, to try to dictate procedures to the Senate. That's not going to happen.
Senator, yesterday the president signed that deal with China and the Dow reaches record levels. What a stark contrast to what the Democrats are doing. I know you're from Arkansas. How does this affect you, your constituents, and the rest of our country?
Well, the president's signing ceremony of the Phase 1 trade deal with China is a lot more important and memorable than Nancy Pelosi's fake signing ceremony of those impeachment articles, because this is good news for our farmers and our manufacturers, but it also doesn't take the pressure off China. We're going to continue to hold China's feet to the fire. There are still tariffs on hundreds of billions of Chinese products to ensure they uphold the commitments they made yesterday, and we'll continue to press them on other fronts, such as forced technology transfer or using Huawei to try to insinuate themselves into Western telecom networks, and their aggression towards their neighbors in the region.
Sure. And while it's only Phase 1, nonetheless, it's a win for the president. I mean, Senator, he ran on trying to fix the trade deals, and this certainly does help with the injection of $200 billion worth of Chinese money coming into our country, buying our stuff. But at the same time, your colleague from across the aisle, Chuck Schumer, says, while he would like to see new trade deals, he goes, this is just not a good piece of, this is not a good idea. I'm very disappointed. Can't believe he dropped the ball. Really?
Yeah, I can't believe that Chuck Schumer found fault with the president's policies. Look, the president gave up very little, mostly just some promised future tariffs in return for significant concessions from the Chinese. We still have tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars of Chinese goods that are a way to keep them honest, finally, to uphold their commitments to a deal. And if they don't uphold their commitments in the deal, then we'll just impose new tariffs on the remaining products that the president had promised. So this was a win for the president, but really it was a win for America's workers and America's manufacturers and America's farmers. And today we're going to give another big win to them on another promise that the president made, ratifying in the Senate the Mexico-Canada trade agreement. These are issues on which the president campaigned, on which his majority coalition was built in the Electoral College to fix the trade deals that hadn't been working for Americans. So we're focused on those kind of accomplishments while the House is running around giving out commemorative pins to all of their rich donors and fanatical left-wing representatives.
I get this some way, one way or another, Americans will have a chance to vote on what they like better in a few months because the Senate went on the record and you guys have been on the record. And we'll see what happens in your chamber starting next Tuesday. Senator Tom Cotton, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.